Is Monday, March 24th, 2025. I am your host, Matthew Burris, and this is Matt's World Wrestling with Comics. And as usual, it is my world, and you all just live in it. Well, we are definitely on the road to WrestleMania, and before I get into what happened on Monday Night Raw. Um, for those of you who didn't watch Friday's show, I will be changing the show from a 3 days a week show to a once a week show. Yep. And that will be on Thursday, first and foremost. Yep. It will be on Thursdays right after WrestleMania. Yep, the week after WrestleMania. So there's that. And as far as what segments I'll be doing, I still haven't made a decision yet. That's something I still have to I have to think about it still. But once I know, you guys will know. So thank you, and I hope that you are patient and you're willing to go along with what well, at least what I'm doing. So let's get into it. Just like last week, we kicked off this week with John Cena and Cody Rhodes. And Cody Rhodes, well, first I should say John Cena. John Cena came out first. The John Cena sucks chants went on. Then we got one of then we had John Cena talk about how people were on him about you know turning the spinner belt into a toy, and from back in the day. And I actually remember that belt, what he did with the United States title and what he did with the WWE title, because that was at the time when 50 Cent and G Unit was hot at the time, so he had to add the spinner, just like the spinner chain. And so then Cody Rhodes came out and dared him to touch the title. Said, "You want the title? Here it is." John Cena walked away, and then Cody continued to cut him down, and it was a good promo. And also, John said that the 17th title, he's gonna win it for him, which is cool. And that's something Solid Monster was talking about. He said, in the upcoming weeks, we gotta see, because they have to mention the thought of John breaking Ric Flair's record, and that if he breaks Ric Flair's record, it will it'll be for him, not for the fans. And I really like where this storyline is going. I mean, I really do like where it's going. I mean, granted, we haven't really seen The Rock. I mean, we haven't seen The Rock since Elimination Chamber. So it's still kind of up in the air of what role The Rock will play at WrestleMania, and we're about a few weeks away. So Rock, TikTok. Then we also had the reunion of the Uso brothers reunited, and it felt so good against A-Town Down Under. And of course, the Usos, they won the match, but then when Jay went to go for the spear, he tripped and got beat up by Gunther. And later on, we see Jay in the back with Jimmy, and Jimmy's going, oh, I'm scared because I can't beat Gunther. And Jay, he goes, Jimmy, he goes, no, you can't beat Gunther, not this Jay Uso, the Jay Uso that went toe to toe with Roman Reigns, the Jay Uso that went into the Royal Rumble. You know what I'm saying? That's the Jay Uso that's got to win. And that is the Jay Uso that's got to win. I mean, they're telling the story that doubt is starting to creep in because Jay has messed up a few times on the spear. So it's like, will he be able to do it? Will he be able to beat Gunther? It's starting to sink in his head a little bit because now he's going up against, well, at least Monday Night Raw's version of the final boss, and, and it's really starting to sink in. So, I mean, it's like, who's going to win this? And then, on top of that, Jimmy challenged Gunther to a match next week, you know, and then Jimmy, with the ultimate insult, bitch slapped Gunther. I mean, just, wow, bam! Bitch slapping him. And then we got Raquel Rodriguez against Lyra Valkyrie for the Women's Intercontinental title. And it was a good match, Raquel just ragdolling Lyra, but of course Lyra eventually she came up with the win, and then there was the 2-on-1 beatdown, and then Bayley got involved. So could we be looking at those two against Raquel and Liv for the women's tag team titles at WrestleMania? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, we'll wait and see. And also, we had El Gringo American, El Grande Americo, whatever you call him, Chad Gable's character, against Dragon Lee. Of course, it was supposed to be Chad Gable and Dragon Lee, but Chad Gable, called out sick, got a note from his doctors, which we all know is bullshit. And so now, we had this match, and it was a physical match. Dragon Lee got, he got belly to belly suplexed over, the top rope out to the floor, and just a lot of stunts happening. It was crazy. It was a great match, though. Yeah, it was really a great match. So I can't wait till they finally reveal that Chad Gable has been Grande American, whatever you call him. I keep forgetting the name. Next, we had the contract signing for Io Sky and Bianca Belair again. And then Rhea Ripley gets involved. There seemed to be a scuffle. And then Adam Pearce announced that actually it's going to be Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky for the Women's Championship next week on Raw, and the winner will take on Bianca Belair. And then Bianca Belair later on went into the locker room, was complaining, and then Bianca was made the special guest referee. So, we all know this is going to be a triple threat match. This has to be a triple threat match. There's no other way around it. There's no way around it. It's going to be a triple threat match, and Bianca is most likely going to win. Yeah, it's Bianca's time, and then we can get Bianca versus Rhea at Backlash. So it's going to end in either a double countout or a double disqualification. Take your pick. So that's what's going to happen. We had Paul Logan call out AJ Styles. This is heading towards a WrestleMania match, so I can't wait for these two to go at it. Also, it was officially announced that the Natural Disasters will be in the 2025 WWE Hall of Fame, which is excellent because the Natural Disasters do deserve it, especially with Fred Ottman, aka Tugboat, aka Typhoon, aka the Shockmaster, still alive. So, it seems only right to have, it seems only right to have, the natural disasters in the Hall of Fame. Granted, there was a lot of buzz about Demolition getting into the Hall of Fame. Hold on, let's just looking for my notes here. I just realized I lost my notes. Uh, but 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 yeah, I'll find it later. But yeah, I mean, Demolition was supposed to, I mean, they should have been in the Hall of Fame, but I guess they might just wait off on them until the next year. So it is what it is. Then finally, we had Braun Brinker versus uh, Penta for the Intercontinental Championship, which ended in disqualification, all due to the Judgment Day. Um, Dominic gave Penta a chair because earlier backstage he asked, he tried to get him into joining, the Judgment Day, and of course Penta threw the chair back at him. Bam, super kick, and that was it. And then he got beat down by the Judgment Day at the end. So it looks like they might be setting up for a 6-man tag, or it could be a 3-way dance for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. So we don't know what's going to happen there. So I mean I would love to see Penta and Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. Because I think Penta could have like a good run with the Intercontinental title, but of course his brother, well, his yeah, Ray, I mean, yeah, Ray Phoenix is coming in and trying to reunite the Luchador brothers. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So hold on a second. Let me go try to find my notes here. Wait. I'm just gonna left it downstairs. Well, turns out I probably left my notes downstairs, so I'll be right back in a jiffy. Just talk amongst yourselves, folks. I will return. The magic of live TV or live stream. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that, folks. Shit happens. So, we're gonna go into the collected editions for this week. March 25th, 2025, or the 26th, whatever day you get your comics. And we're kicking off with Marvel. We have Better Ray Bill Argent Star. This is a new reprint that's coming out. Collection includes Beta Ray number 1 through 25. So make sure you get it. Next, we have Marvel Premiere Collection, Captain America, Winter Soldier. They already came out with one for Black Panther and one for Daredevil. So we get one for Captain America, Winter Soldier. Collection includes Captain America 2004, number 1 through 9, and number 11 through 14. So worth reading. Also, we have Deadpool Bad / Batter Blood. So we got Bad Blood and Batter Blood. And from what I read about this seems like a good story arc, and I'm kind of interested in reading this because I do love Deadpool. Collection includes Deadpool Bad Blood from 2000 2, number 1 through 4, and Deadpool Batter Blood from 2023, 1 through 5. So definitely get that. We also next have the Infinity War Power Corrupts. Collection includes Thanos, annual number 1. By the way, all these stories are from 2024, from last year. Thanos, annual number 1. Amazing Spider-Man, annual number 1. Immortal Thor, annual number 1. Miss Marvel, annual number 1. Wolverine, annual number 1. Incredible Hulk, annual number 1. Moon Knight, annual number 1. Spider-Boy, annual number 1. And Avengers, annual number 1. So, a lot of annual number 1s here. And from Marvel Masterworks, we got The Vision and Scarlet Witch. So, for all you who are fans of the Scarlet Witch TV show, this is definitely worth getting because this has the beginning of the Scarlet Witch stories. And it collects Vision and Scarlet Witch, number 1 through 12 from 1985. West Coast Avengers from 1985, issue number 2. Material from Marvel Fanfare, 1982, number 6, number 14, number 32, number 40, and number 58. Nice. And we also get Marvel Superheroes, 1990, issue number 10. We have Solo Adventures number 5 and What the Blank, number 3. So all that is in the Marvel Masterworks Volume 1 for Vision and the Scarlet Witch. And for all you Star Wars fans, we have 2 Star Wars books. We have Star Wars Legends Old Republic. This is the omnibus. Collection includes Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, number 1 through 50. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic War, number 1 through 5. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic Handbook, and material from Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic / Rebellion numero 0. Okay. And next we have Star Wars Inquisitors. Yeah, Inquisitors. Hope I pronounced that right. Collection includes Star Wars Inquisitors number 1 through 4. And next we have Wolverine and Gambit Victims, the Gallery Edition. This is like a big collection of the Wolverine Gambit victim storyline, and also it's from Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, who worked on, Superman Superman for All Seasons and Batman the Long Halloween and a bunch of other Batman stories too. And I really like their work together, and I'm really curious about reading their other works as well. Collection includes Wolverine and Gambit number 1 through 4, Uncanny X-Men Annual number 18 from 1992. So yeah, there you go there. And speaking of Wolverine, we have Epic Collection Wolverine Law of the Jungle. The collection includes Wolverine from 173 to 189. So, and also I read about this as well. So this also looks pretty interesting too. It's been a while since I've gotten a good Wolverine book or X-Men period. And finally, we have X-Force by Jeffrey Thorne, Volume 1, Fractures. And the collection includes X-Force number 1 through 5 from 2024. So make sure you get those for all you Marvel heads out there. And now we're going to go into Wrestling Top 10, and this is the top 10 Intercontinental title matches from WrestleMania. Yep. So these are 10 Intercontinental title matches from WrestleMania right here. There have been a lot over the years, but I can only put 10 on here. Coming in at number 10, we have from WrestleMania 2, Macho Man Randy Savage versus George the Animal Steele. This was Macho Man's first WrestleMania, and this was about, I think it was about like a month. Yeah, about a couple of months. I think it was a month. Yeah, it was about a month after winning the Intercontinental title from Tito Santana. So, going into this match, George the Animal Steele had a crush on Elizabeth, and and George Steele, it kind of went on for about a year. It kind of went on for a little while longer, and almost right up until WrestleMania 3, and Savage walked out with the belt. I think it was by disqualification he won it by. Hold on, let me go into the Wikipedia for this. This is a good thing about this podcast. I can look something up while I talk to you people. This is the good thing. Of course, it's a little bad because I should probably have my facts together before I do this, but nah. What are you gonna do? No one's perfect, people. Yes, George the Animal Steele defeated Macho Man Randy Savage did defeat George the Animal Steele. I think it was either a roll up or something, but anyways, Macho Man retained the Intercontinental title, and the rest, as they say, is history. Coming in at number 9 from WrestleMania 7, Mr. Perfect versus the Big Boss Man. Mr. Perfect at this time, 2-time Intercontinental Champion. Yep, he was a 2-time Intercontinental Champion. I was just looking at my thing there. Just wondering if I was still live or not. Yeah, I'm still live. But anyways, yeah. So the Boss Man and Mr. Perfect, they went out for the Intercontinental title. Mr. Perfect was 2-time Intercontinental Champion at this time, and it was a good match up until the ending. So what happened was, Andre the Giant came out, and Andre at this time, he was in real bad shape, and could barely walk to the ring. In fact, when he was walking he had to lean up against the ring apron and against the ropes a bit, and to hold himself up. And then he whacked Mr. Perfect with the Intercontinental title belt, and after whacking him with the belt, and then the Heenan family interfered, and thus led to a disqualification. So the Boss Man won the match, but he didn't win the title. And Mr. Perfect would later drop the title to Bret Hart at SummerSlam 91, later that year. And it's a good match. I mean, it is worth watching, though, because, it's one of Ray Traylor's best matches as the Big Boss Man in WWE. I mean, he had good matches with Hogan. The WrestleMania 6 match with Akeem, was awesome as well. But this is a good match to look at as well, and that would unfortunately be Andre the Giant's last WrestleMania appearance. That was the last time he appeared at WrestleMania, and then 2 years later he would unfortunately pass away. So he would be around in the company, but whenever you would see him, you would see he would be on crutches. I mean, just the operation on his back, and he was just really not in good shape. Even like in his last year as a full-time wrestler, he was mostly just working tag teams and stuff. His body was hurt and stuff like that. It wasn't the Andre of old, so. But it was a good memory, for those of you who are Andre the Giant fans, so if you want to, for historical reasons, see Andre the Giant's last appearance at a WrestleMania, definitely go look at that. And coming in at number 8 from WrestleMania 13, we have Rocky Maivia, aka The Rock, aka the Brahma Bull, aka the Final Boss, against the Sultan. The Sultan, of course, as we all know, is Rikishi. Yep, Rikishi, of course, went from you know the head shrinkers, to being like Fatu, like the positive person, like the NT gang guy, and then went on to be the Sultan, a big guy in the mask, and then years later would be Rikishi. So this was The Rock's first WrestleMania, and this was at the time period when he was Rocky Maivia, and he had won the Intercontinental Championship back in, I think, yeah, it was about like a month. Yeah, it was about a month ago. He won the Intercontinental title from Triple H on Monday Night Raw. That was in Lowell, Massachusetts, the Lowell Auditorium. Yep, he shocked the world. And right around this time, fans were kind of starting to boo him. And also, when you go back and watch that match at WrestleMania 13, I mean, the fans in Chicago just booed him out of the building. They booed him out of the building. But nonetheless, it was still a good match. I mean, The Rock was very athletic, doing drop kicks and flying off the top rope and stuff like that. And after the match, he was attacked by Bob Backlund, who was the Sultan's manager at the time. Him and the Iron Sheik, they were just putting the boots to him, out of out of nowhere comes The Rock's dad, Rocky Johnson. He's doing the punching and the old shuffle, and the fans went wild, and just got him out of there. And also, the Honky Tonk Man was on commentary as well. Yeah, Honky Tonk Man was just, I mean, he was just running Rocky down. He was just, always taking cheap shots at him and stuff like that. And but it was a good match. I mean, this is one of The Rock's best matches of his his earlier matches of his career. And so that's also worth watching. For historical reasons as well. During his first reign as Intercontinental Champion. Coming in at number 9. Number 7. Sorry. WrestleMania 9. Yep, WrestleMania 9. We have the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels versus Tatanka. This is another Intercontinental title match, and this one opened WrestleMania 9. Yep, the world's largest toga party. And Tatanka had beaten Shawn Michaels twice in non-title matches. He beat him in one non-title match, which was 1-on-1, and then beat him in a 6-man tag. And Shawn, he came to the ring with Luna Vachon, who was making her WrestleMania debut. And it was also the WrestleMania debut of one good old JR. Yep, Jim Ross, fresh off of getting fired from WCW. He was, he was doing commentary with Bobby the Brain Heenan and Macho Man. And the match, was awesome. I mean, this match was awesome. This is one of two matches that many consider like the best match on that card, because WrestleMania 9 is considered like one of the worst WrestleManias in wrestling history. Yeah, in the history of WrestleMania. I mean, I understand their point of view. I mean, I really do over the years. But, as a kid, I loved that WrestleMania. I rented it from Blockbuster. No, sorry, not Blockbuster. VideoMax. I rented it from VideoMax like 2 or 3 times. And then I actually bought the actual VHS cassette, part of the WrestleMania cassette tape collection. And I loved it as a kid. And, parts of me still loves it, but I know why people call it the worst WrestleMania, because of the ending, the titles switching hands and one night, two times in one night. And then, Luger and Perfect's match was just boring. It's just boring as hell. And I did like the Mega Maniacs against Money Incorporated match. Despite the finish. Despite the finish, I thought it was a good match. But back to this match. I mean, this match was just awesome. Shawn Michaels once again opening WrestleMania just like he did the previous year at WrestleMania 8. Showing why he is in fact Mr. WrestleMania. And in fact, there was one point Tatanka jumped off the top rope and Shawn Michaels caught him with the super kick, which was my favorite move. I used to rewind that and watch it over and over and over again. And the match ended in a count out. So Tatanka wins the match, but he doesn't win the title. And Luna Vachon beat up Sensational Sherry. Sherry at this time left Shawn Michaels, left him after the 1993 Royal Rumble, and was in Tatanka's corner. And Luna beat up Sherry, and it was supposed to lead to Sensational Sherry and Luna Vachon fighting each other. They were actually supposed to have a feud, but then Sensational Sherry, she got caught smoking weed, and even told him, he said, like, look, I understand you have a drug policy, but it's not going to stop me from smoking weed. And then she got fired. Event. She was in She was in Smoky Mountain Wrestling for a while. She was in ECW for a while as well, and then wound up in WCW for a bit. And then the rest, as they say, is history. But still a good match to watch, especially if you're a Shawn Michaels fan. This is one of the matches that proves why he is Mr. WrestleMania. Coming in at number 6 from WrestleMania 8, we have the Hot Rod, Rowdy Roddy Piper versus Bret the Hitman Hart. I have done a review of this match twice. One for the WrestleMania 8 watch along, and the other for WrestleMania Tuesday, which, by the way, new episode of that tomorrow. And what's more to say? It's an awesome match. Bret Hart got busted open, bloodied, but yet still managed to carry on in the match and beat Piper. And it was a good contrast of styles, because Piper was, he could get down on the mat and wrestle, but he was more of a street fighter or brawler. You see him in there doing those punches, boom, 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 bam, he's just a nasty street fighter, and Bret Hart being a technician and, a master wrestler. And it was an awesome match, and especially the way he won it by, like Piper had him in the sleeper hold, and Bret drop kicked the turnbuckle and flipped over and pinned Piper. And that was actually the same finish that Bret would use on Steve Austin in their first match against each other at the '96 Survivor Series. So go back and watch that. That's another great match as well. Coming in at number 5, which is ironic, from WrestleMania 5, The Ultimate Warrior versus Ravishing Rick Rude. This was the first of many matches they would have against each other in WWF at this time. They had wrestled each other previously in World Class. Of course, that was during the later years of World Class. When the Ultimate Warrior was known as the Dingo Warrior. So the Ultimate Warrior, he was Intercontinental Champion, won it at SummerSlam '88 against the Honky Tonk Man, and Rick Rude, has been beating him down. Even challenged Warrior to a pose off and then beat him down. And then they wrestled each other, and for the most part, Warrior was pretty dominant in the match, But then Bobby Heenan tripped up the Ultimate Warrior as Warrior's trying to suplex him back in the ring, and then held his feet down. Rude got on top. 1, 2, 3. Rick Rude's the new Intercontinental Champion. And this was, it was a good match, not a great match in their feud, because I thought their match at SummerSlam '89 and their match at SummerSlam '90, those were much better matches. I mean, if you had to ask me, out of all three matches, like you could rank them all, I would put their SummerSlam match from 1990 at number one, and that was actually for the world title too. That was for the WWF title. I put that at number one, their SummerSlam '89 match at number two, and I would put their WrestleMania 5 match at number three. But it's still worth looking at, so go back and watch it, especially if you're a fan of either one of those guys. Coming in at number four, we have from WrestleMania 10, the ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. Yep. We have the bad guy, Razor Ramon, versus the former two-time Intercontinental Champion, Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was stripped of the title. Of course, it was because he failed the drug test. Of course, in kayfabe, they said it was because he refused to, title defenses and stuff. And thus, they stripped him of the title. There was a battle royal on Raw, which led to Rick Martel and Razor Ramon in a match for the Intercontinental Championship, which Razor won. And then Shawn Michaels would come back, and he had the Intercontinental belt. Of course, it was a fake belt. He claimed that he was the real champion. And thus set up the ladder match. And this was the first televised ladder match in WWE history. There was a ladder match between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, which you can go watch on Smack 'em Whack 'em. Yeah, the Smack 'em Whack 'em video. But it wasn't televised. And they've done ladder matches in Stampede Wrestling, and Bret actually came up with the idea of a ladder match. And thus Shawn and Razor, they wound up doing it. And I saw this match, when I rented it from Blockbuster. Yep, I rented WrestleMania 10 from Blockbuster. And then eventually I bought the tape. And it really did change the industry. You talk about ladder matches today. I mean, that one at that time just set the standard, and they did some pretty cool spots, like Shawn getting catapulted into the ladder, and Razor, suplexing him off the ladder, and then one of my favorite parts, of course, there's two of my favorite parts. There was one where Shawn was climbing up the ladder, and Razor, was grabbing by his trunks, and we could see Shawn's ass. I mean, no underwear, just ass there. And Shawn kicked Razor down, and then he jumped off the ladder. Boom! Landed at elbow. It was a full moon in Madison Square Garden that night. And then the other part was when Shawn did the legendary, spot, jumping off the ladder and landing on Razor, with the splash, a la Superfly Jimmy Snuka, and it was just, it was incredible. And then, of course, in the end, Shawn gets his foot caught in the ropes, and then his feet caught in the ropes, and Razor, won the Intercontinental title. Also, that was Diesel's, Kevin Nash's first WrestleMania, as Diesel, Shawn's bodyguard. He was cornering Shawn, and then the referee threw him out. And and then, of course, Nash would go on to wrestle at WrestleMania 11 and 12. But that match is just historical. I mean, and they would have a rematch about a year later at SummerSlam '95 in a ladder match, and it was and it's just as good too. I mean, go back and watch it, man. I mean, it's just incredible. And then another reason why Shawn Michaels is Mr. WrestleMania, just right there. I mean, those matches, prove why. Coming in at number three from WrestleMania 39, the triple threat match for the Intercontinental title, we had, we had Gunther at that time. Yep, Gunther. Yep, before he was world champion, he was Intercontinental champion. and he's going, and he went up against, uh, oh, who do you wrestle now? Oh, I gotta look this up. Looking up on Wikipedia right now. All right, let's see. Looking this up right now. Let's see. So it's Yeah, this was on night two of WrestleMania. Yeah, it was Gunther against Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, and I mean, this match was just incredible. It was a great triple threat match. I mean, I remember watching this. I remember watching this at home, and like I really thought that Sheamus was probably gonna win it. Because the storyline was that Sheamus has never been Intercontinental Champion, and that was the story that they kept telling. Like Sheamus has never won the Intercontinental title. He's never been Intercontinental Champion, and many people thought this was going to be the night that he win it. But of course, it turned out not to be. Gunther continued on his undefeated streak as Intercontinental Champion, and Gunther. I mean, he's one of my favorite wrestlers. I mean, just as a bad guy, I mean, he's just. I mean, he looks like. I mean, he is a machine. I mean, he is like professional wrestling's answer to Ivan Drago. It's like he's big, he's a foreigner, he has a thick accent, and he just goes there and just destroys people. You know, I mean, I would also like to hear him just one time just go up to our opponent and just, when he does that whole Imperium pose, with the hands behind the back and stuff, just go up to him and go, I must break you. I would just love to hear him say that just one time, you know. But it is a good match. It's a good triple threat match. Go back and watch it. And speaking of which, the next year's WrestleMania comes in at number 2 from WrestleMania 40. We have Gunther versus Zayn. Yep, Sami Zayn. And the build up for the match was incredible. I mean, because, like, Sammy, like he was number one contender, and Chad Gable, was saying, like, telling Sammy, you can't beat Gunther, you're gonna have to, unless you train with me. And they trained, Sami Zayn was trained, they were doing the Rocky thing, and Sammy was saying that he was afraid, and then finally, like, he got in much better shape, and then they went out there and fought Gunther, and he finally did it. He finally beat the Giant. I mean, it was one of the biggest upsets of WrestleMania 40. Of course, the big one was Cody and Roman, but that was a great match too, man. I mean, Sami Zayn finally won it for a third time. A three-time Intercontinental Champion, and Sami Zayn, he's it's just wonderful. And I thought this year might be his year to get the world title, but unfortunately that's not to be. But I would love to see him and Gunther go at it for the world title, or Sami Zayn against Jimmy Uso for the world title, whenever Jimmy comes. I mean, whenever when Sammy comes back, because that would just be. I mean, that would be awesome to see Sami Zayn as Intercontinental Champion. Even just one time, just having one reign as, sorry, not Intercontinental, World Champion. Yeah, World Champion. What am I saying? But I'd just like to see him, just one time, become World Champion. So, and coming in at numero uno from WrestleMania 3, we have Macho Man Randy Savage. Ooh yeah, versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Yep, and this is the match that stole the show. Nothing more needs to be said about this that I haven't done a review on or I haven't said in the past. I mean, it's the match that stole the show. It's, an incredible Intercontinental title match. As far as old time, I mean, it's kind of a toss up between that and Brett versus Bulldog at SummerSlam 92. I mean, they're both considered like the greatest Intercontinental title matches of all time. They're always neck and neck, you know. But this match, is just incredible. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, finally gets his revenge on Macho Man after Macho Man put him on the shelf, with the throat, and it's just a great technical masterpiece. I mean, it really also shows that Ricky the Dragon Steamboat is and was and just a phenomenal wrestler. I mean, this is really one of his greatest matches. I mean, this is 3 matches with Flair in '89. There's a match he did with Flair at NWA Boogie Jam '84. Yeah, '84. Which unfortunately they got rid of that match on YouTube. I used to watch it on YouTube all the time, and I hope that WWE now with their Vault on YouTube, I hope they upload it. Please WWE, please, 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 please upload that match because I want to see that match. I really want to see that full match. But but yeah, it's just an awesome match, and it propelled both men for world titles. I mean, Macho Man the next year would win the world title at WrestleMania 4. Unfortunately, Steamboat would have to leave WWF to go back to Jim Crockett Promotions, which was WCW at that time, and he would win the title from Ric Flair at Chi-Town Rumble '89. And I mean, they're still two of the best legends, and just great match. Just a great match. So definitely go back and watch it if you ever get the chance. And now we'll get into the collected edition for March 25th, 2025 for DC Comics. Yep, this is for DC Comics. We have Absolute Promethea Book 1. So if you're... there's a lot of Absolute books there, so if you're a fan of Absolute, go ahead and get it. Next, we have Batman Dark Age. Yep, Batman Dark Age. Collection includes Batman Dark Age 1 through 6. It actually looks like a pretty interesting story. So, I think I might give it a read. And also, we have another Batman. We have Batman The Golden Age Omnibus Volume 2. So, for all you fans of the earlier Batman stories of the 30s and 40s, you're definitely going to want to pick that up, add it to your collection. Next, we have Harley Quinn, Clown About Town. So for all you Harley Quinn fans, this is another book you should definitely get. Next, we have Justice League, The New 52, Trinity War. Yep, this is book 2. And the collection includes Free Comic Book 2012, Trinity of Sin, Pandora, number 1 through 3, Trinity of Sin, Phantom Stranger, number 11, Justice League, number 22 to 23, Justice League Dark, numbers 22 to 23, Justice League of America, number 6 through 7, Constantine, number 5. So, yep, those are what's collected there in Trinity Wars. And then we have Nightwing, Fallen Grayson. And the collection includes, Nightwing number 114 to 118. So definitely worth picking up. I haven't really read any Nightwing books, though I've been meaning to because I like Dick Grayson, the original Robin. For me, he'll always be Robin. Nothing against Tim Drake or Damian Wayne, and not even anything against Jason Todd, who would go on to be the Red Hood. But for me, Robin will always be Dick Grayson. He'll always be Dick Grayson. And now we're gonna go into another top 10. This time it is the top 10 all-time Marvel heroes. Yep, so these are my top 10 all-time favorite Marvel superheroes. I mean, I read more Marvel comics than DC. I mean, for DC, I mostly read Superman, Batman, or anything Batman adjacent, like Robin or Nightwing. And I mean, I'm actually getting a little curious about the Suicide Squad books as well, And I'm actually still reading Judas. Yeah, the Judas Contract as well. Man, that's a long ass read. Uh, and also because mostly I've been lazy, but I'm trying to undo my laziness. But anyways, coming in at number 10, I put Captain America. Yep, Captain America. Of course, I mean, I just loved. I mean, as a little kid, I just loved the costume, and I remember watching. There was a VHS tape that I watched as a kid. It had the first episode of the Captain America cartoon show from the '60s. Of course, it was based off the first issue of Captain America comic book, and then saw the episode that Captain America appeared on in Spider Man. Yeah, Spider Man '81, and I love that hero since then, and I even watched the Captain America movie from 1990. So I haven't watched. I mean, I've seen clips of the new Captain America movies, but I haven't really watched them fully. I mean, I guess that's something I gotta do. Yeah, that's something I gotta do. But yeah, I mean, Captain America, definitely one of my favorites. So that's at number 10. Coming in at number 9, we have the Incredible Hulk. I did go through a phase after the Ang Lee Incredible Hulk movie where like I was watching like the Incredible Hulk old TV series, and I watched the old TV movies of the Incredible Hulk, and I read a few Incredible Hulk comics and stuff. Actually have I think I still have the Marvel Masterworks Incredible Hulk Volume 1. So yeah, I mean, yeah, and that TV series with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno is incredible. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. It's a great it's a great story, and also look, watch the old cartoon, from the '90s as well. I mean, because that's incredible as well too. No pun intended. Coming in at number 8, one of my favorite badasses and superheroes, Wolverine. Yep, Wolverine coming in at number 8. And, Wolverine, I mean, he's badass, like he has, healing powers, he's got claws, he's got a bad temper. And, I read some Wolverine stories, and, I mean, it's just incredible. I mean, go read the first one that Chris Claremont did with Frank Miller. It's just incredible. It takes place in Japan, and and also just read other X Men stories that the X Men stories that do feature him, and they're great as well. And there's even one that he did with the Punisher back in the '80s, where they're in the the African jungle. They call it the African Saga. That's a good one too. And there's Perceptions with Spider Man by Todd McFarlane. I mean, that's a good one as well. So definitely go and read those. And speaking of X Men, coming in at number 7, the X Men. Yep, the X Men. I watched the X Men cartoon series back in the '90s, and I mean that badass theme song, the I mean, oh, just music to my ears. And then later on, I read the comics. I just got done um, with what was it? Oh yeah, man, yeah, God loves, man kills, and I also read before that. I read the Dark Phoenix saga, and I gotta read, you know, Days Present, whatever you call it. I keep forgetting the name of that too. Um, but yeah, I gotta read that one because that one takes place right after the last one I read. And other than Wolverine, my other favorite characters are Cyclops. I like Iceman as well. I watched Iceman in the Spider-Man Amazing Friends cartoon, and then I even had an Iceman action figure for Christmas. And what was cool about that Iceman figure was that you get to put it in the freezer and it would freeze up. So that was dope. So those are my two. Yeah, so those are my other favorite members of X Men, and also Morph too. I liked Morph because he could morph into different characters and people and stuff. So that was another one of my favorites. Coming in at number 6, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Yep, there was Spider-Man. I've always loved Spider-Man. I watched the cartoons. I have seen the movies. For me, it was the cartoons, especially the one that used to come on Fox in the '90s as well. I mean, I like that Spider-Man cartoon better than the ones that came out in the '80s. I mean, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends were cool, and the one in '81 was cool. The one in '66, with the theme song, that was cool as well. But that '90s one was just awesome. I heard some people like shit on it, but I mean, I don't know what people are thinking, man, because that's a great one. And I go on Disney Hulu and I watch those. I mean, they're just awesome episodes. I need to do a binge watch of that. Maybe one weekend. Not this weekend, but maybe the weekend after. Coming in at number 5, we have Daredevil. I have been, yeah, I started reading the Daredevil, graphic novels when I was a kid. I had Frank Miller Visionaries Volume 1, and I read some stories that Daredevil was in, and then I started reading some other Daredevil stories later on in life. I've read Born Again, I read The Man Without Fear. Uh, let's see, and now. There's some other Daredevil stories that I really want to read now. I mean, because they seem to be pretty good. And I've been watching trying to catch up on the old series on Netflix and watch the new series. I mean, I actually missed last week's new episode, so I got to go watch that before the next week's episode. But Daredevil is awesome. I mean, being blind and still being able to fight with a stick and all that. So, I mean, that's incredible. So, definitely go read do some Daredevil comics too, especially the ones by Frank Miller. I mean, Frank Miller, he does the best Daredevil. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Speaking of Frank Miller and his work on Daredevil, coming in at number 4, we have Elektra. Yeah, I mean, Elektra, another badass. Daredevil's a badass too, and Elektra's another badass as well. And I mean, she's a ninja, which is also awesome too. I mean, she's deadly and she's sexy, and and I read Elektra Assassin, and that was great. And then also read Elektra, um, Black, White, and Blood. I mean, that's another great collection of stories featuring Elektra. And Elektra is just the bomb. Elektra's the bomb. I mean, and I hope that they do another movie on her eventually. I hope they do another Elektra movie, soon. Coming in at number 3, we have The Merc with the Mouth, Deadpool. Love the movies and I love the comics. I mean, just incredible. I mean, he's funny, he's witty, but he can also kick some ass when it's time to kick ass. And, what more can you say about Deadpool? I mean, I don't know if the Deadpool and Wolverine movie was the last Deadpool film. I hope it's not, because I would love to see another Deadpool movie. I mean, I would love to see another one. So, coming in at number 2, another badass from Marvel Comics, The Punisher. Yeah, The Punisher. I mean, that was also one of my favorites growing up as well. I mean, I've seen all 3 Punisher movies. Out of all 3, the Dolph Lundgren one is still number 1 in my opinion. That's number 1. But the War Journal one, that is number 2, and that will forever be number 2. The one with Thomas Jane and John Travolta at number 3. I mean, I liked it as a kid, but looking back on it, I was like, it's an okay movie. It's okay. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. But The Punisher is awesome as well. I have his Essentials. I have Circle of Blood, and I have War Journal. I have Welcome Back, Frank. I have another one. I have one where he was in Laredo, Texas, and then I think that's about it. But I've been also meaning to get some other Punisher comics and graphic novels as well. You know, because I just love the Punisher. You know, I mean, just a complete total badass. And I did watch the Netflix series as well. You know, the Netflix series was awesome, and they shouldn't have canceled that. You know, but I'm glad that they bring the Punisher back. You know, in Daredevil, and there's even going to be a Punisher special coming out soon. But I really hope that they give Punisher another series, and I hope they make another Punisher movie as well. You know, I've always said that if they ever do another Punisher movie, that John Woo needs to direct it, and they need to have him directed soon because he's getting old. So, and finally, at numero uno, we have Blade. Yep, the Daywalker. I mean, Blade, you know, is just my all time favorite. You know, he's got gadgets, he's got that trench coat, he's a samurai. You know, I mean, go back and watch the Blade movies with Wesley Snipes. I mean, just so badass. And that's how I've discovered Blade. And then, you know, later, you know, I read up on his comic book history, and I just love Blade. You know, in fact, I really got to get those Blade comics from '94. I gotta start collecting more of those. You know, I'll see how much money I have left in the bank for those. But yeah, Blade is just awesome. I mean, go and watch the movies, but not only that. You know, go read, you know, some of his, you know, his old stories, his old books as well, because they're incredible as well. Including the Night Stalkers. Ooh, the Night Stalker comics. Oh, they are the shiz nizzle. Yes. And now, finally, the collected edition for the Indies for March 24th, 2025. We have Spawn Violator. Yep, so go check that out as well if you're a huge fan of Spawn. And I actually looked at the cover for it. It looks pretty cool. So I think I might get that. Cyberpunk 2077 Kickdown. And the collection includes the Kickdown storyline, Kickdown number 1 through 4. So if you're into Cyberpunk 2077, then that is for you. From EC Archives, yep, we have Crime Suspense Stories, Volume 4. Yeah, they're coming out with a lot of these EC Archives books, you know, like, you know, Crime Suspense and, you know, Creep Town and whatever. So those are pretty. They look pretty good to get. So if you're a fan of that old school stuff, you know, those old school horror comics, you know, go get them. We have Stranger Things, the Library Edition, Volume 4. So for all you fans of the TV show, that's definitely one you're gonna want to collect. And then finally, we have the Go Go Power Rangers! Mighty Morphin Power Rangers across the Morphin grid. So make sure you all get that as well. I used to love the Power Rangers, man. Power Rangers were my shit as a little kid, you know, so. And that will do it for today's, well, I should say for tonight's show. And tomorrow it is WrestleMania Tuesday, so I'll be giving you guys that. And I hope you all tune in. We are on the road to WrestleMania. WrestleMania is almost here, and I just cannot wait for it. I just really, really cannot wait for it. And either tomorrow or on Thursday's show, I will give you guys an update on what is going to stay on the show and what's going to leave. So, until then, this is Matthew Burris saying toodaloo, motherfuckers. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.